Hello, I'm Otto, and welcome back to Dyson Sphere program. So in the last episode, we did a lot. We created a build for the small carrier rockets, which is here. We're a little bit behind on some items still, but that's okay. We also converted some builds over, both of these were conversions, and we made some Dyson Sphere components, making sure that this was set to ratio. We also created a build here for the critical photons, so we are receiving rays from the Dyson Sphere and Dyson Swarm, and this is giving us critical photons. Afterwards, we then created a build for launching rockets. I did say that I was going to add some rockets to another planet, but I have since decided to hold off on that, largely because the sheer amount of materials we needed. So I did spend some time afterwards placing some of the frame material builds, and it became very apparent that we were going to be short on carbon nanotubes, so I did go to another galaxy and tap some stalagmite crystals. While I was there, it was a water world, so I went ahead and added some water. I realized I was short on that. I also added in some sulfuric acid, and I believe I'm also creating, I am creating some graphene just by itself, because I was going to be a little bit short. One, because of the solar sails, and two, because I did place some normal carbon nanotube builds as well, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure to get nice and caught up, and that is what I did. I spent maybe 2 hours dealing with that off screen. Anyways, in this episode, there's a couple of things that we're going to have to deal with. One, we have created this build, which is taking up a quarter of the equatorial band, and we are going to be making another large build that is going to also take up a quarter of this equatorial band. Most of them usually take up a sixth, or let's say a third of a half, because we typically, around the equator, we generally refer to this section and this section, so we're going to have 2 builds in the bottom section and 3 builds in the upper section. And I did try to keep them separated. This one was whatever, I just needed the extra room and didn't really feel like tearing anything down, but we will not be needing this space. We might, however, need this space back here, so yeah, I'll have to deal with this at some point. I'll either have to bury it or hurry up and finish tapping that. Anyway, so in this episode, we are going to be making a build for consuming the critical photons and converting them into hydrogen and antimatter. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Then we are going to, we're going to make sure that we can take care of the hydrogen, because the hydrogen is going to be one of the biggest problems. So we're going to be bringing in critical photons here. We're going to be outputting the hydrogen and antimatter. These can all go in there, and we're going to need some space warpers. We don't really need the space warpers, but I like to have them. We're not going to be proliferating this, because the critical photon, when it is proliferated, all it does is increases the speed at which the miniature particle colliders kind of use craft. So it's already decently fast, like it's 2 every 2 seconds, I believe. It is 2 every 2 seconds, or 1 per second, and we're going to make a build that we won't even be able to supply it, even if we were capable of producing 30 photons per second, critical photons per second. Once we get to the point where we have completed the game and we can increase the stack size of the outcoming ILS items, then it will be kind of fully available. I went ahead and decided to make a full build that is only going to be able to consume half, just largely because we're so close to the end of the game that it doesn't really matter. There's no point in making like a half build and then 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later making a full build. So yeah, the way that we're going to do this is we're going to give ourselves some space. So I'm going to actually just make a section here. We're going to go all the way out to what would be 10 spaces, 10 hardline squares out. And I'm going to do that on both sides, largely just because this is going to be how we kind of line things up. Not necessarily, like, we aren't going to be using these belts. They're just for placement purposes. Okay, so we are going to we need 60 of the miniature particle colliders, and we're going to start on the bottom, because this is going to be where the... No, I think the bottom is fine. Generally, you probably want to start closer to a tropic line because that's where you're going to have the most problems whenever it comes to actually lining things up. But this should be fine. Yeah, so we're going to place 15 on this side. And then we're going to have a return line for the hydrogen and a return line for the antimatter. Doesn't matter which one of these is which. And we're going to rotate this. Make sure to get it nice and tight. And another 15. So I was lining that up with this line here. I wanted to be on the inside of this because this is where our power poles are going to start. We're going to have one there. And we will eventually get these placed. If you wanted to go ahead and place them, that's fine. So I'm going to drag this through in tab twice. And we're going to drag that all the way to the end. Okay, so we don't have to manually place too many of these, and we are going to have to manually place some, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and set up some of the...
Building destroyed.
Yeah, and we have a combat zone where we're actively taking on the dark fog, so you will be hearing that buildings are being destroyed. That is our signal towers, and I did give it a full supply of signal towers, so this is a non-issue. I can remove those notifications, but I kind of like to know that they are there. Okay, so we're going to be using the pile sorters and outputting, we'll do the antimatter on the top and the hydrogen on the bottom. So this is going to be hydrogen on the bottom, antimatter on the top. This one will also need hydrogen out on the bottom, and this one will need antimatter out on the top. We can set the recipe, which is this one here, mass energy storage. I don't know about storage. Okay, and then we can just drag that all the way through. We could just kind of copy this and paste it over here, but I'm going to set this up manually just because. I don't know, I tend to prefer doing things manually. Up to a certain point. So this one we should be fine. All 15 should fit. We're going to add in our return line. And we'll connect these to the ILS later, like shortly later. Make sure that is lined up. So these are going to be a little bit tighter together. So we're going to tab to make sure that we can get all of them lined up with these. And it's very crucial that these are all lined up. We definitely need a clear line of sight in between all of these machines. Not just for the power poles, but for some other belts as well. So tab for these. And we're going to drag that all the way down. We will need some extra power poles in the middle. I believe some of these are not... we're going to have some other sorters as well that are not going to be powered. So... we are, it doesn't matter which side I would pick, I would probably pick whichever side has the longest path around the curve. That's gonna, it really doesn't make that much of a difference, but same thing, we're gonna tab and drag this all the way down. I believe that should, you know what, we might have to remove this belt and go in one more. I did say those belts were temporary.
Flight mode.
So tab, and yeah, that's where those are going to go. Okay, well, you might be wondering, well, how do we get in the critical photons? We have set up return lines for them. Well, that is going to be easy enough, so let's give the ILS some power so we can actually just go ahead and start requesting this in. And I'm going to leave these at full quantities, like it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're going to need some splitters, and we're going to be splitting right off the hop. We are not going to be proliferating anything, so we can put one right at the beginning. And then we're going to make sure to follow the line of sight and add in another splitter every other, every other, not every third. Thank you. And this is where the critical photons will be going. So we're going to bring them down the middle, obviously. And for now, I'm not going to connect this one just yet because I don't want these coming through, but we are just going to just aim somewhere out here. We can delete the tips of the belts later. And like I said, we're only bringing in 30 per second. We have 60 of these, so obviously only half of them are going to be saturated this early. But we are very close. Like, this is going to be the last episode before we beat the game. We will be, we will be completing the game by the end of this episode. And then from there we get into infinite research. Oh, that reminds me, I was supposed to talk about this too. Okay, so because of what it's going to do to us from like converting from the colored sciences to the white science, we need to go ahead and upgrade everything that requires any kind of colors that are not white. So we're going to go ahead and, these are the power problems that I said we were going to have in the last episode. Yeah, but we're going to go ahead and unlock anything that does not require white science. Oh, we need this one. I don't think I have too much here. You can upgrade the research if you want. I'm personally not going to, and I will explain that shortly once I get some of these queued up. Okay, the rest of these are white. That one is white.
Mineral depleted.
That one is queued up.
Upgrade complete.
Some of these should go by pretty fast. Okay, and then all of these were white science.
Mineral
Yep.
depleted.
This one, I don't really care too much about the efficiency, but just in case, I have a planet later on that is not within the Dyson sphere or the solar sails. I do want to upgrade this, so yeah. All these are white science. This one is queued up. And the stuff that I have over here, I think I have the artificial star, which we're not really going to be getting into too much. And then I have the Dyson sphere shell stress systems. So there's another 5 levels of this, and this is going to be the most time consuming one to research, which is why I save that for last. These shouldn't take too long, depending on how bad our power is. So I haven't talked about this tab too much. This is the control panel. So if you were to click on an ILS, I know I'm talking about this right in the middle of doing a build, you'll see the control panel down here, and if you click on that, oh, we are really bad. Is that on? Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it was. Alright, well, we are obviously going to have to take care of some power problems over there, and I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. Okay, so we need to add in some ability to collect these. I did not add that. I am just going to copy and paste from those. I'm not too concerned about making it symmetrical. I just don't want to have to manually add all those in, so it's nice to go ahead and get those now. Okay, so this is going to be incoming. And we can just remove whatever extra belts we have. And then same goes with the inside. So I'm just going to start on the top and work my way down. Okay, so from this point, we can turn this thing on. Critical photons coming in. And there we go. Yay, we have created antimatter. We already have antimatter because we've been collecting it from the dark fog, but yes, we do have some antimatter.
Building destroyed.
Oh, we did not reconnect these. Alright, so hydrogen will go in the first slot and antimatter in the second slot. This one is presumably, yeah, this one's a little backwards. That's fine. Not a big deal, as long as it's going in.
Upgrade complete.
Okay, so I did intentionally leave some room back here. I don't think it'll be a problem, but just in case, like once you get to the point where you are kind of moving along, and I would highly suggest leaving some space back here because worst case scenario, if it really came down to it, you could drag a line out for hydrogen and then burn this off with some of the thermal generators. So we would have 4 on each side to kind of cover this distance. 5 would be a little bit too far, but whatever. Again, I'm not going to worry about it too much right now because I think it'll be fine. And the reason why I think it'll be fine is because we have some fractionators over here. And the fractionators will be bringing in... it's probably fine for these two to be local. Let's just add one more. And this one will be exclusively for local only. What is in the way? Oh no. I don't want to move that. Let's just do it back here. Where is my middle? My middle is there. Line that up on the right. Excuse me. Yay, it fit. Alright. So we will use this one to exclusively bring in local hydrogen. Nope, no remote view, or remote view, no remote. This is local receive only. Yeah, we are having proliferation problems as well, which we can slap down another build on our main planet. So yeah, we'll take care of that once we move over there. Okay, I'm just gonna spend some time crafting this real quick, and I will be back shortly. Okay, so I finished creating that fractionator build, and we are now back on our main planet. So I did remove all of the whatchamacallit, the EM rail ejectors on this planet, and probably for the best, we now have a huge power problem, and a lot of that problem seems to be from, well, just general lack of power. So I'm going to line myself up with our kind of main meridian. And we're going to add in a couple more of our little power sections. Okay, so now that those are done, once they get some fuel, they will be caught up a little bit. We do have some extra space here. Oh, that reminds me. This guy is requesting in the antimatter, and we want to stop that. We want to use the antimatter for the science. Yeah, it did make some of these. That's fine. Not a big deal that it brought some in. Worst case scenario, we could always use some of this fuel for the artificial star. This is one of those builds I'm not really going to get into. I will have a build for it at some point after the end of the episode, but yeah. Okay, so I think that this should be the last thing that requires any of the other energy, except for the research speed. So let me talk about this a little bit. Whenever it comes to the research speed, so if you take a look at our research facilities down here, why are you not working? Oh, it doesn't have any sorters. Oh my, I really went this whole time. I went like 12 episodes without having any sorters on the middle one. Okay, so you can see how some of these are activating and some of them are not. That's because they are not getting enough in. So what the research speed will do, the increase, will make that problem even worse. So I'm really not too concerned with solving that problem at the moment. This is a problem that once we unlock the stacking abilities of the ILS, this will kind of solve itself even without adding more of, and that's also why I haven't added more of the matrix slabs on top, is because these were just kind of largely not going to be bringing in enough anyways. And yeah, the research speed would only make that a bigger problem. If you had a lot less of these, of the matrix slabs, then by all means add in the research. It's just, we're going to be having all of this space, and it's not really that much of a concern to me. It would overall reduce your power output or your power requirements, because you would need fewer of these and they use the same amount of energy either way. Again, for me, it's not really that big of a concern. It's pretty easy to just slap down some extra power and make sure these are going to be topped off. So we do have a couple more things to add. One is I need some more proliferators. So this is the first time that I'm going to be adding in a proliferator build after the initial one. And then I'm also going to be adding in another one for the Deuteron fuel rods. Okay, so obviously I have added in a couple of proliferator builds as well. We probably could have just made some deuterium with this build. There is one here that will convert 10 hydrogen into 5 deuterium over 2.5 seconds. I'm not really too concerned. This probably would be faster. It's probably less power as well. We're at the end of the game, so it doesn't really matter that much. I had this blueprint available. We're just a little short on proliferator, which is not a big deal.
Mineral depleted.
Yeah, what is taking these guys so long? We have some extra power, so I'm going to go ahead and upgrade these as well. This is going to be a little problematic, though, as you will see shortly. These are kind of flickering on and off, and the reason why is because they are not capable of moving their products out fast enough. So another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade these sorters that are sending the yellow into the green. Upgrade those to pile sorters, which can very rapidly move the items, so that will solve that problem. This is where some of the in-game builds are slightly different. Is it really takes a little bit of finessing sometimes to make sure that you're not wasting materials, I guess, on not all of these had to be pile sorters as an example. We also probably could have used like the Mark II sorter, for instance, for this guy. You know what? It is what it is at the end of the day, so yeah, I have 2 of those. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade the other one as well, which is somewhere over here. I did not want to do that. Whatever. I just had my talk about efficiency, and now I'm like all out here like, oh, whoops, I accidentally did it. Screw it. Let's just go. All right, yeah. Let's just go. How about that? Yeah, let's get some more of this stuff in. This is probably part of the problem, I would say. This other one should be fine. This one I had intentionally kind of added in the amount that we would need. Alright, so last quick on power. Power is good enough. So we wanted to stabilize power before we did anything with the research. So we are apparently short on some... Oh, that is bad. Yeah, that is very bad. So unfortunate. No, I probably could have had these done by now. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to give it a little bit of time. I'm just going to wait for these, and once these are done researching, we are going to come back and finish off the science section. Okay, so the final research has been researched, and yeah, I also corrected the sorters that were wrong over here, and I actually found another one. There was one right here on the end for the antimatter, but that obviously doesn't matter because we are not bringing in any antimatter at the moment, which is the first thing that we're going to do. So we're going to swap this over to antimatter. Excuse me. Oh, we need to add it in. So we're going to bring in antimatter here. I did lower these to 8,000 each because we're going to have to add some back into this. So I figured, you know what, we might as well give ourselves some little bit of a space, a little bit of a buffer room. Okay, so we have 4,006. Do we get the full 8? Nice. Alright, so for the matrix slabs here that are researching, we're going to hit the reset button. And we are now going to be creating the white science. So the white science is going to be outputting onto this line. Actually, before we even do that, we should probably make sure that we can... Yeah, we're going to add the proliferation to this as well, as it is going into the ILS.
Mineral depleted.
And we need white science. That is going to be here. I don't need to worry about limiting that. That can just stay. Okay. Did I just see the first one go through? No. We have not created a white science yet. We need the... Oh, here we go. Our first white science. Okay, so we're going to copy and paste all of these in. As you can see, we are collecting... We do not want our inventory to fill up. And there we go. Okay, so we can take some of this and just add it back in. It's okay if something's already been proliferated. It won't cause any problems for us. It just won't consume the additional proliferation. Maybe if it's a... Okay, whatever. I'm not too concerned with it. Paste, paste, paste. Get rid of all these. Okay, so now we obviously need a way to consume the white science, and we're going to be mimicking or replicating what we did on the other side. So we're going to add in, yeah, I have quite a few matrix labs. So we are aiming for the same line. So we're going to come in through here, and we're going to get to the meridian line, and we're going to go 11 out on that side, and then we're going to go 10 out on this side. So 21 total. And we're going to do this a little bit different. Like, we can... You know what? I should have just waited for the proliferation, to be honest. It is not too late. I'm just going to remove it, and we'll do it on the flip side. The reason why is because if we end up making white science somewhere else, we can always import it here. And because of that, I'm going to be actually adding in a section here for the white science. And it will come in over here. Let's say like that. And we're going to bring out a section here for the white science as well. So we're going to have it on both sides. That is... I can... Do I really want to do some funky stuff? Yeah, why not? Okay, so then I can have some proliferator coming out here. And spray coaters just, I don't know, how close are these guys? Something like that. Yeah, it looks all funky, but that is not a problem.
Building destroyed.
How are we still having power problems? Wait, what? Really? Oh, yeah. That's why, one of the reasons I wanted to make sure to get these power problems under control. Okay, so I'm going to grab the extras here because these did not get proliferated and add those back in. Okay, and same thing as before, we are going to be using the pile sorter to add these in. We only need one, it doesn't matter how tall the stack is. The fastest that anything can move is going to be able to be grabbed by the pile sorter, so at least once it's fully upgraded, which as of now we definitely have this fully upgraded, so it is perfectly fine. And then I'm going to add some to the other side as well.
Mineral depleted.
Alright, now we just need some power. Well, we need lots of power, obviously. Let's just do this right down the middle. Let's tab until we can get something that'll work.
Flight mode.
These will be consuming research, and then we can copy and paste these all the way through. Make sure all those are good to go. Okay, let's, before we turn this on, let's make sure our power is good to go. So we do have tons of room down here for extra power. I kind of set these, it wasn't intentional. I set these off by accident. They were supposed to go right here. I'm not too concerned with it. It's going to take up the same amount of space either way. So yeah, that's perfectly fine. So let's add one more in, and that should be plenty enough. Oh, fine. We'll do the upper side. Now the question is, did I line that up right? I did. Awesome. Okay, so we are short on some of those, and those are, if I can find them quickly, they're somewhere over here. There they are. Okay, and that should be the last fix for our power before we upgrade power, which we're not going to be doing in this guide, but I will definitely have some blueprints for some of the later stuff. So for instance, the deuterium, where is it? The miniature particle collider deuterium build. That's one that I will be adding into my blueprints. I'll also be making blueprints for all of the in-game assembling machines and all the in-game smelters, so whichever one you want. I'll also probably be adding in some like numbers to them. So for instance, in here, the gears, I would have this is 4,500 per minute as an example. So then I would have that displayed on here. I prefer to work in, like, items per second, but because the production tab works in per minute, then you know what? We'll just do it per minute. So I am going to adjust a lot of those. Okay, so we are now at the very last moments of the game. So we're going to add in the final mission. Yay, we have officially completed the game.
Congratulations, builder of the great civilization. You've completed the Dyson Sphere program. The energy you have contributed will accelerate the development of Homeland. Every step here bears your imprint. This cluster is activated, and a star in the Milky Way is lit. It will forever record your contributions to the
Mineral
upcoming
depleted.
Civilization Type 3. Now, take a rest and get ready for the next journey.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point of the game, this is obviously the end of the game, but there is still a lot that you could do to enjoy it. I would say that a lot of people that actually make it this far definitely continue on. So with continuing on, I'm not going to cover too much of this. These two can definitely be unlocked. The self-evolution lab and the negentropy, what is this, smelter. The upgrades are where it's at though. So the first thing that I would 100% recommend unlocking is going to be the station integrated logistics. So unlocking these will increase the stack size of the ILS. So instead of sending out one stack, it'll actually send out 2 stacks for the second or the first upgrade, 3 stacks for the second upgrade, and 4 stacks for the third upgrade. The next thing after that is going to be the logistics carrying capacity, which is going to increase the storage of the ILS, the PLS, and the logistics in logistics vessels and logistics drones. So this is a huge one. You will, I mean, the inventory is also going to be kind of nice, but the drive speed, nope, not that one. Where is the speed for, here we go. The logistics speed for the bots and the drones is also going to be invaluable. Outside of that, you probably want to pump as much into vein utilization as you possibly can. This will increase the mining speed, so all of your mining, including, as you can see, the items from the dark fog, the mining speed, and the mining speed includes both liquids and solids, so items being mined up from the ground, like iron, copper, coal, stuff like that, but also your sulfuric acid, your water, your oil, all of that is increased as well, including the gas giants. So the gas giants will be mined faster as well, and that's just free energy. If you want to start clearing out the dark fog, these are also going to be very important. Because of how often we've been hearing the building destroyed, I'm probably going to be going for the enhanced structure for quite a bit of time, but that's after some of the other stuff that I already mentioned. Okay, so that is the final episode of the guide. We have completed the game, like I said, but there will be more to come. So I have, within this playlist, there will be another episode that I'm going to be releasing that is going to be maybe a little bit of a recap, like what would I change? Is there anything that I would do different in a future run? But not only that, I'm going to continue to play the game for, I don't know how many hours. We are 56 hours into this. I might go for, I don't know, I might go for another 10 or 15 hours. I might go for another 50 hours. We'll see. I'm just going to see where the game takes me, and I will be able to come back and say, oh, look,
Mineral
Dyson Sphere is
depleted.
complete, which at the moment you can see it is currently not. It is a work in progress for sure. And maybe I will have some other stuff complete as well. So yeah. If you enjoyed this, please give the video a like, subscribe, and all that stuff. It is quite time consuming putting in guides like this, so any support is appreciated. Any comments, be sure to send them my way. If you enjoyed the guide, yeah, leave me a comment and let me know. I read every single comment, and I try to reply to as many that as it makes sense to reply to. So yeah, that is going to be it for me, and thank you very much for watching.